Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today is a Christmas cookie baking day. So I'm going to be making 3 types of cookies. In this video, I'm going to be doing some cornflake wreaths and some snickerdoodle cookies. And then in the following video, I'm going to be making a krumkake cookie, which is a Norwegian cookie. So if you enjoyed this video, next week I will be releasing the krumkake video too. So this should be a lot of fun, a lot of baking today. So let's get started. Okay, this recipe is pretty simple. All you're going to need is a stick of butter or a half cup of butter. You're gonna need a bag of marshmallows. I'm using a 10-ounce bag, so you only need 10 ounces. And then some cornflakes. I have 5 cups here. And some green food dye to make our wreath that beautiful green color. So I'm gonna be adding a few drops of this and then seeing how it goes and then adding more if I need it. And this is optional, but I usually like to do it is add a little bit of vanilla. And I may add a little bit of almond extract too, we'll see. First thing you need to do is melt your butter down. So turn on the stove, and plop in our stick of butter and give that a stir until that is completely melted. Okay, all the butter is melted down, so it's time to add my marshmallows. Plop those all in, and then we are gonna stir this until all the marshmallows get melted down. You wanna make sure you're continuously stirring during this process. Starting to smell so good already. Just a couple more little marshmallows need to melt completely down, and then it's time to move on to the next step. Okay, that is looking good. So I'm gonna turn the fire off and then add in the rest of the stuff we need. So, don't wanna get marshmallow everywhere. So I'm gonna add in some vanilla. And a tiny bit of the almond extract. That should be good enough. Oh, I love the smell of almond. Vanilla too, but it's gonna smell amazing. Once that gets all incorporated in, you're gonna add some drops of green food dye. So I'm gonna add a few first, probably around 5 drops, and see how that's looking and see if I need more or not. It's kind of looking like this. Might be enough. I think I'm gonna add 1 more drop. Actually 2 more. Oh yeah, that became a little more vivid green. So that is looking fantastic. So now it is time to add in our cereal. So I'm gonna add in, and then we're gonna start to fold it in. You wanna be sure when you're mixing this up, you're not smushing the cornflakes too much. Otherwise they get broken down into super tiny pieces, and I usually like them to be a little more full. And add a little more green. Once I got on the cornflakes with the yellow, it kind of lost some of the color, so. Okay, and then once they're all fully coated, I'm going to bring this over to my island and start forming them into the wreaths. We want to work pretty fast with this so they don't start to set up before I get done, so. Okay, so for this part, you need to work pretty fast. So I'm gonna be taking a spoonful and plopping it down over here, kind of make a wreath shape with a hole in the center. And then I am going to add some sprinkles on top. A lot of people add those cinnamon candies, but I don't really like those. I had some of these golden silver sprinkles, so I'll be using some of these more circular ones for my little ornaments. Ooh. They're very rolly though. Just want to get a few out so they'll be easier to grab. Okay, so we're gonna take a spoonful. And this is just on parchment paper. You need to work fast, and it's kind of hard too because it does get warm. So you don't want to burn your fingers either, but just make it into a wreath shape, like so. And then we're gonna add some sprinkles on top. Looking good. So we're gonna do that with all of them. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil to my fingers, just to make forming them a little bit easier. Just get my fingers coated. Just helps with the marshmallows not being so sticky. Again, plop it down. Awesome. This is a little tricky doing it all by yourself. Usually I have help and it makes it go a little bit faster. It's a little hard to try to hurry, but then also get it to look good. Not get too much. Last one. Just trying to get the rest scraped off from this pan. And the fun part, trying to get all the stuck on marshmallow off when you're washing it. Perfect. So I'm gonna go get cleaned up and then we're gonna give these a little try. Okay, I got everything all cleaned up, so it's time to give this a little taste test. It definitely helps for when you're cleaning up your pot to just put some really hot water from the tap in it and let it soak for a while. It came off really easily for me then. Other than that, let's give this a taste test. Oh, I also put my hair up in a pony. It was driving me crazy. I forgot to put it up before I started to form these. And then I had marshmallow and my hands were all greasy by the time I had thought about it. So hair was up for the rest of the time. I made a little ball of the leftover stuff that was left in the pot that I wouldn't be able to form into a wreath. And we're gonna give this a taste test. This is always delicious and it reminds me of childhood. My mom would make these almost every year and I would always help her out. So it's very nostalgic. It's definitely easier with 2 people to form it, like I had said previously. It gets very hard to try to form these fast before they set up, and being able to form them all, and then if your hands get too sticky, it's nice to have someone else in the kitchen that can kind of spray them with some grease just so you can keep going without having to stop and get something else and get other things messy. So definitely recommend it to be at least a 2-person job, but it's delicious. It's also very messy when you're making it, but definitely worth it. I highly recommend these for Christmas. Got these done, they're forming. I'm gonna move them out of the way and then we're gonna get started on our Snickerdoodle cookies. Okay, it is time to start the Snickerdoodles. So I got all my ingredients prepared and ready to go. So we're gonna start measuring and start beating our butter and our sugar together. So for this recipe, you need a cup of butter, so you need 2 sticks and it needs to be softened. So that's 2 sticks of butter. For sugar, we need 1 1/3 cup of sugar. There's a cup, and there's a 1/3 cup. And then we need a 1/3 cup of brown sugar. And I really want to pack it in. With these smaller measuring cups, you can like dip it in a little bit easier. The bigger one, it's a little bit harder. So really get it packed in, and we're gonna level it off. And then we're gonna beat this until it is light and fluffy, and occasionally I'm gonna stop to scrape off the edges. Okay, one more time of scraping down the edges. Okay, this is looking fantastic. So scrape down the edges again, and then we're gonna start adding our 2 eggs. So crack them into here, and then add them one at a time. And start mixing the 1 in. And then once that gets incorporated, add in the second one. Okay, now that's all set to go. I am going to start, oh, forgot my vanilla too. You need a teaspoon of vanilla. Can't believe I almost forgot the vanilla. Actually, we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, that is looking fantastic. It is time to get started on our dry ingredients. For this, it calls for quite a bit of flour. I need 3 1/4 cups of flour. So, unlike when you're doing the sugar, you do not want the flour to be packed down, so you want to spoon it in instead of scoop. And you want to get a knife or a level. 3, and we need the 1/4. I swear it is impossible to measure out flour without making a mess. Then to the flour, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a little bit of salt, and 1.5 teaspoons of cream of tartar. I just got this today, so we're gonna open it all up. Perfect. And last but not least, a little bit of cinnamon. It's gonna mostly go on the outside, but I like to add a little bit inside my cookie as well, but you don't need too much. But tasty. Oh, it smells so good. I really smell that cinnamon now. I'm gonna mix that all together. And then we are going to incorporate it into my butter mixture. You wanna make sure you're not over mixing it because then it can get really tough. So you wanna mix as little as possible while still getting it combined. Always start off slow so it doesn't make a giant puff. And then the last little bit. Okay, and that should do it. So we're gonna get all this off. And we're gonna start rolling them into balls and shaking them up in some sugar and cinnamon. I haven't had these in a while, but I do love the flavor of them. It is time to start rolling these up and then getting them into the oven. So I had this cooling for a little bit, so it will hopefully be a little bit easier to form them. And I have a cookie scoop. I finally got one, so I'm very happy about that. And I'm going to get together first my sugar and cinnamon mixture that we're gonna roll all of the cookies in. You wanna cook? My sweet little kitties here. I'm gonna pick them up real quick so you can see them and then wash my hands again. You're just being so cute. Yeah? Look it. This is Magnus. Your sister Agatha's sleeping right now, but you wanna help me cook? No? Okay. Okay, let's get started. So, got the cinnamon and the sugar together. Mix that in. Oh my goodness, we're so chatty. So stinking cute. Okay, grab this. And then we're gonna roll it together into a ball. And then we're gonna just roll it so it gets coated in our cinnamon sugar mix. And then set it on our cooking sheet with parchment paper. And we're just gonna keep going like that until we get all of them done. I like the scoops because it helps keep things more consistent. So they should have all the same cooking time. I'm not sure how much they're gonna spread, so I'm gonna do the bigger one first, just to make sure that if I do the smaller one, they won't form into each other. Okay, I got a dozen right here, so I'm gonna pop these in the oven while I'm forming out the rest of my little cookies, and then we're gonna see how they go. I'm gonna put them in for about probably 12 minutes and see how they're going, and hopefully they don't merge into each other. Let's get to baking. Okay, and I will check in once all these are done. My Snickerdoodle cookies finally came out of the oven, so it is time to give them a taste test. This made 3 dozen cookies, so got plenty for the family. Oh, it's nice and gooey in the center and crispy on the corners. Yep, this is delicious. It has a wonderful flavor. I love the cinnamon coating. The texture is perfect. It's nice and soft on the inside, but it has that crispy edge on the outside. And so this is so good. I'm very happy I made these. I always forget how much I like them until I have them again, and they're so good. So this was my day of baking. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Have a Merry Christmas. So good.